If you are a Republican and you listen to any of these 9 people, I want you to know that I listen to them too. For the last several months and months, I've been listening to their podcasts, interviews, social media accounts, rallies, and listening to their perspectives on everything about the Democratic side of the government. I want to try to understand the right's perspective as much as I possibly can. And knowing what I know through a lot of the points that they make that are very valid, except him, I want to offer a perspective of the left, knowing as much as I know as I possibly can from the right, spending more time listening to the right than I am even the left. I want to offer the perspective as why so many people are still unwilling to come over to the Republican side of the government, even knowing what you know. If you're willing to listen to the left, like we're listening to you, this is how we get less divided as a country. In 2023, we had more mass shootings than we did days in this country. Many people around this country were asking for some kind of gun reform. We don't need to take people's guns away, but can we have permits and universal background checks? Because children are getting slaughtered in school. And we were seeing things like this. Permitless carry states. Take a look at all of the green, how it compares to all of the red states around this country. How about universal background checks? Can we just make it a little harder for bad people to buy guns? Take a look at the states that implemented universal background checks in yellow and all of the states in blue that implemented this. Red states did not do that. In fact, not only did they take no action whatsoever, they progressed legislation to lower the age to buy a gun in states like Florida. While people on this app were crying, parents calling for some kind of gun reform because their child was just slaughtered in school, politicians on the right were wearing AR-15 pins and standing on a podium and offering thoughts and prayers. Students around the country took to the streets to protest because they don't want to have to do active shooter drills in schools. Can you just do something about this? And they didn't, so they were protesting. And Tennessee is a place that I would like to focus. Not only did Republican lawmakers not do anything, they actually expelled 3 Democratic lawmakers in the state of Tennessee who stood up with their constituents during the protest. We continue to see shooting after shooting after shooting, the protection of guns over children's lives. And that's because the National Rifle Association, or the NRA, lobbies money, sends money to Republican campaigns. Take a look at how much more it was in the year of all of those shootings. Shh, don't do anything about guns because we're paying you not to. In fact, Tennessee prioritizes guns so much that they eliminated the permit requirement for carrying concealed handguns in public spaces. What they will do to protect children, though, is pass a law for a person who engages in an adult cabaret performance on public property or in a location where the adult cabaret performance could be viewed by a person who is not an adult, and call it pornography. So like a drag show in a park, and call it obscenity. In fact, last year, not 5 years ago, not 10 years ago, in 2023, there was a record number of anti-LGBTQ legislation filed by the Republican government. I don't care about how you feel about the community. They're people. Do you know of even 10 bills that the Republican states passed or introduced to make America healthier again last year? Because there were 508 bills targeting the community in 2023. This is where they spent their energy. And for what?
Children are being indoctrinated and mutilated by left-wing freaks and zealots.
That became the #1 talking point of the Republican government in 2023. That Democrats and trans people and left-wing freaks were mutilating children. The statistic of sex changes on minors is so minuscule, it is almost hard to find. And this became the #1 talking point of the Republican government last year. This is how many states banned gender-affirming care. Take a look at where they correlate to the red states across the country. All of us, parents of trans children, Democratic lawmakers were pleading with Republican lawmakers. Gender-affirming care is more than just a sex change operation. It's mental health support. It's education and advocacy. It's preventive care. There's a lot more that goes into gender-affirming care that reduces suicide ideation in children by up to 73%. Please do not take this out of your states. These children need help. In fact, because their entire talking point was that they're doing it to protect children, what are you doing, we would say, for the 50% of trans and non-binary youth in the U.S. who are considering this every year? What are you doing to protect this many children across this country? We're going to say you don't exist. Montana governor signs a bill that says trans people don't exist. You're either male or female, okay? Because I said so. No, the Republicans were just protecting the kids. Oh, they were? Because they started coming after gender affirming care for adults in states too. You may not agree with their lifestyle, but they are humans nonetheless. They had to uproot their lives, flee the country or flee their state. 130 to 260,000 trans people we followed, people who we watched have to uproot their lives, that go to work and pay their taxes and are just normal, nice people like the rest of us. They were hated because they were blamed for mutilating children because of the narrative of Donald Trump and the Republican government. Do you think that the Republicans in government did not know what they were doing when they were saying those words to millions and millions of people to hear it with their own interpretation? They spewed it, so there was hate directed at this community. And it worked. Target stores saw bomb threats during Pride Month.
It's amazing how strongly people feel about that. You see, I'm talking about cutting taxes. People go like that. Talk about transgender. Everyone goes crazy. Who would have thought 5 years ago you didn't know what the hell it was?
There was a this march at a drag story hour where they were screaming, "There will be blood," because there was legislation being passed that drag shows were pornography and obscenity. If you are a Republican and you've never been to a drag show, it would be important to consider that you do not know what they're like. And Donald Trump stood up on a stage, in addition to the legislation passing, and said that left-wing freaks and zealots are indoctrinating and mutilating children. So this is what unfolded because of that narrative. And it just kept going. There's just more hate. Colorado GOP, leaders of this country, people in Congress, sent out an email moving the word Pride Month to the word demon to actual citizens in the state. That would be Republican Lauren Boebert. Over and over again, we would see her caught up in scandals and controversy and being caught on camera lying. A Republican congresswoman. Gay marriage was literally just passed in 2015. It might have seemed like it was a long time ago, but it was not that long ago. Take a look at these four who voted no on passing gay marriage in America. Really focus on Thomas, Alito, and Roberts. Those three are still a part of the Supreme Court today, and this is becoming more and more conservative, and we have already seen them overturn something because of their beliefs. The reason that gay marriage was passed before was because there were more liberals in the Supreme Court. And because there is a trend and a rise of anti-LGBTQ legislation, 3 Supreme Court justices who do not believe in gay marriage, hateful narratives that are coming out of the mouths and emails of Republicans and supporters who are going to march and yell, "There will be blood." We are very concerned for the LGBTQ plus community simply because they do not look, act, and love like Republicans, and therefore they are being attacked. It's because we know that Republicans want to move toward Christian nationalism. And it's not because I'm saying it, it's because they're saying it.
Some will say now that I am calling America a Christian nation. And so I am. And some will say that I am advocating Christian nationalism. And so I do.
Louisiana passes a bill requiring the 10 Commandments to be displayed in public school classrooms. Oklahoma superintendent is requiring the Bible to be taught. They start banning abortion across the country with no exceptions. Take a look at all of these compared to all of the red states. We're like, hey, this is like one of the worst things that women fear. It's like one of the worst things a woman can go through. Can you please not force these women to have forced pregnancies? Can you just consider that? We're like, hey, Republican lawmakers, women are becoming septic in your state. Can we care about that? We don't want women to have to go through that. By the way, they're becoming infertile because of becoming septic or because of the harm that their body is going through. Can we please care about that? Okay, well, women are dying. How's that? Can we care about that? Because there are higher maternal mortality rates where women need health care to save their lives. Can we please have an exception for the life of the mother? They're saying they're doing this because of their Christian calling, to save the life of the innocent baby. Well, what about this? That the abortion ban is resulting in an increase in infant deaths because women are being told that they have a non-viable fetus, and because of abortion bans, they are forced to carry that fetus to term and watch that baby die in front of their eyes. There are stories like that coming out across the country, and they don't care. Donald Trump is on a debate stage saying, we had to bring it back to the states. They have to do what's in their heart. And they're showing us what's in their heart. They don't change it. They don't adjust it. They don't listen. They don't make it better. They don't make exceptions. And this is what many, many people on the left think. Our birth rate is declining. This is politics. They're in charge of growing the population for a workforce for economic stability. So they'll force pregnancies. And now I'm out of time, so I'll make a part 2.